The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, hello to everyone. Well, it's great to be back at another webinar, and I hope that I see we've got a lot of people joining us online tonight. We really have had a fantastic couple of weeks. I can't, let me just show you my webcam here quickly. You should be able to see my webcam, hopefully. Let's just see here.
Yeah, we can see.
Oh, you got the webcam. Okay, great. So as you just heard, that's Hilda, and I just wanted to welcome Hilda quickly. And before I get into some details here, well, actually, I'll get on to Hilda now. Just 2 seconds. But anyway, Hilda, it's fantastic to have you online. I'll explain a little bit about who Hilda is, but Hilda is both a friend and a business partner, and her and I shared this week on Necker Island. And what we discussed was we've had so many people asking us questions that we thought, well, why not do a webinar and discuss, roughly what it is that we actually learned on the whole experience. So, but before I get started and get into a little bit about Hilda and everything else, I just wanted to say, certainly from my side, I've got so much gratitude at the moment for the journey that we're on, and we consider, I don't know what your thoughts are, Hilda, but just the last couple of weeks between being in London to going to MIPIM to being in Hong Kong to watch the Hong Kong Sevens to being on Necker Island all within 6 weeks, it really has been a hell of a roller coaster. And certainly from my side, there's a huge amount of gratitude. And it's one of the reasons I want to share so much and share what we learned with others.
Yeah, Scott, you know what? It was absolutely fantastic. I think I'm still on my Necker high. And I came back and changed so many things in my businesses. So it's just an amazing, like you say, so grateful that we can have the experience to be able to go.
So what I wanted to do tonight is that we're going to keep it very interactive. Gavin says no sound. So I just want to check, can everyone else tell me whether they've got any sound problems or not? And it'll just be good to know kind of where people are to make sure you all know where the little button. So thank you, Mark and Teresa, that says the sound is fine. It is a little bit unusual for me to have a webcam on. I'm in our Centurion office with high-speed internet. It's quite a pleasure to actually be able to use technology, which is fantastic. But so let me get into it. And one of the things that I'd like tonight, both Hilda and I have discussed this, is that it's very difficult to prepare for something like this because you spend an entire week with amazing people. There were about 20 entrepreneurs that are part of this global organization. It's a bit like joining a golf club. It's someone's got to nominate you, and then you've got to go for an interview, and finally you get invited to be part of this group. And they go to Necker Island once a year, and we got personally invited. And for me, there's so much that you learn. I mean, you literally hardly sleep. To share it all in 45 minutes, an hour, maybe even an hour and a bit, is going to be really tricky. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be running through some of our lessons. I'm going to be sharing some slides with you. But I think personally, I'd also really appreciate, and Hilda, I don't know if you're happy with it as well, but if people actually just send through their questions, if they've got any questions, and possibly, I know Michiel's here helping me as well. You just let me know if there's important questions or whatever while we're talking in terms of.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great, and I think that would be wonderful that we know what people would like to know from us.
Perfect, and so I think without further ado, let's get started. I also want to find out if people want us to share some of the photos. They are all on Facebook, but I thought we could have some fun and share some of the photos. So I wanted to actually start, and you should be able to see this picture of Richard Branson up on the top of one of the hills, and he says, "It's up to us to create the world we want to live in, and we all have the power to do so if we set our minds to do it." And I think certainly, Hilda, my first lesson that I learned was that there's just a group of people that are playing life at an exponentially higher level than I certainly am, and the most South Africans that I meet are. And really, he's the antithesis of it. Like, he wanted an island, he wanted a lifestyle, and he's created the entire life that he wants. I mean, he's created the life that he dreams of. But it wasn't just him. I mean, there were phenomenal other people that really blew me away. And their whole attitude of, it's not what can't I have, it's like, right, what do I want? And then working backwards to create it. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, you've had the privilege of going.
That's 100%. What I realized, and again, this is my second time, as you know, that I've been, is what the most successful people do is they create the life they want. They create the authentic to themselves. Richard bought that island for himself. He created the life on Necker for himself, and now he let other people access that life and be part of it. And that is just so amazing. And it's exactly what he says here. Create that life that you want, and then help others, and you set your mind to it. I mean, last year when I left the island, I left and with so many blinkers that went off, because that to see that it is actually possible to have this life, to have 300 companies, I think, at last count he has, and to live on an island and be able to run those companies if you organize your life properly.
Well, I mean, he truly, to be honest, does everything that everyone says is not possible. In terms of, not being at the office, running multiple companies, having lots of fun, has a great family, got great children, has lots of wealth, has abundance. Everything that everyone else tells you is not possible, he has done it and created it. And for me personally, that's why he's someone who's such an inspiration to me.
Yeah, I think that's why he inspires so many other people, because so many people want to have that life that he managed to create.
Just quickly, for those of you who don't know, from Hilda's perspective, she's got a great website. If you want to go to it, you can go to meethilda. Is it .com, Hilda? Meethilda.com.
They can actually just go hildalunderstedt.com. That I've changed it. That's much easier then.
Okay, so you've got her name up there, and you can just search for her. But I just wanted to read a little bit here, which is off the front of her website. But I believe the structure of business, if done correctly, is the only way to make a major impact on the world and to the lives of others. And Hilda basically is a highly successful entrepreneur in South Africa, having grown a business to 9 figures in less than 10 years, and then went international and has multiple business interests around the world. One of the things that I enjoy most is that she likes to look for industries or companies that can disrupt industries. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Hilda is that her passion for women, and the whole wanting to provide women with self-belief, wanting to be able to show them what is possible, being an ambassador for women. And one of the things that I love about what you do, Hilda, is that it's not a kind of, I don't know what you call it, the opposite side of, I don't know exactly what the right word is, but the opposite side of where it's a feminist or whatever. It's all just about equality and everyone coexisting in a basically a great planet going forward. And I think what you're doing is amazing. And just tell us a little bit about kind of your view on, a little bit about yourself, and more importantly, your view on women and what's inspired and where that's come from.
Yeah, it's a lot. Okay, I'll try and make the story short. But I think I sold my healthcare business probably now 3-4 years ago, and I went in to create one of the largest beauty franchise business. And I found the exciting part for me is that creation, that building a big business. And so then the next challenge was to see if I can do it globally, to see if I can do it in America. So that's what I then started doing. And in my negotiations, and I'm on a couple of boards of companies, it seems that I was always negotiating with, there's always just men, and I'm the only woman in the boardroom. And I think from there on the thoughts of, but where's the other woman? I surely can't be the only one doing what I'm doing. And I think there my passion is, so let's call it passion, is to make it possible for women that to believe that because I think that it starts first that you must believe that you can do it, that you can play in that level. And if I can, pretty much anybody can. You must just find out or get the right coaches and get the right people to help you and get the right team. And I think that's more what I wanted to help women is so many women wait for other people or the husband they're going to get or their husband that they have to sort of take care of the financial aspects of lives. And I just think the more you know about it, the more you educate yourself, the more empowered you are, and the bigger role you can play in this world to make a difference. And even on, for the ladies out there, I don't know how many ladies are online, but I'm on the Migrate board, and I'm the only lady with, how many men are we now? 6 or 7 men, which is awesome for me. But again, we need to, that's my little bit I do to try and make property and crowdfunding more accessible to women and make men understand how women want, how the world is, how the world is, women as part of the world. So I don't believe I'm the only woman that can do it. I think more women must get on and help me create a better world for us.
No, it's fantastic. Well, I mean, I know that you've been actively in part of, and we'll get into some of the lessons, but really, one of the things that I'm grateful for Hilda being online, because obviously with her experience, her success, and her motivation in terms of what we're speaking about, I think there's a lot that she can share from her lessons in terms of where we're at. I wanted to share with you this picture quickly, which for me was one of my dreams was to kite surf on Necker Island. I love kite surfing. And we went for lunch, and the next thing, Hilda, I was there, and I was sitting next to Rich Branson, and ironically, the night before, I was actually talking about kite surfing, and my first lesson that I got from him, and it was the most surreal experience, because if you've got someone that you think very, very highly of, and it was the very first night, and I'm standing at the bar area just chatting to people, and the next thing he just walks in and goes straight up to Hilda and starts talking to her, because she was there last year, so they knew each other. And it was just the most surreal experience for me ever, that this man that I think so highly of was just at the bar having a beer, like any of your mates, basically. But the next
and gave me a hug.
yeah, gave me a hug, very much so. But that night at the dinner, I was telling everyone how difficult kite surfing was, and truly it is. I'm a fairly talented sportsman, and it's the hardest sport I've ever learned. And yet, ironically, he turned to me and said, "Scott, stop being negative about kite surfing. Otherwise, none of these people around this table will try." And it was the first time I was like, okay, right. First time I got told off was in about 20 minutes of meeting him. But the next day I was adamant that I wanted to go kite surfing. And, for me, I would have been glad if I just got to kite surf on the water while he was even on the water. And while we were at lunch, he actually said to me, "Come, do you want to kite surf around the island?" And I must admit, I've never kite surfed around an island. So it was a classic example of just saying yes to something you have no idea. You can ask Hilda. I was a little bit nervous. And it didn't all end well. I got cut up on the reef, but I tell you, if there's one thing I learned about entrepreneurs, they've got determination, and I had a single-minded focus. I was getting around that island and made it all the way around. So it was pretty cool, and I just wanted to share that photo up front. I know Hilda doesn't love this photo too much, but it was the only one we really took properly together, basically. And it was Sunday Fun Day on Necker. And I've got quite a few photos that I wanted to share, and we don't have a huge amount of time, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on these photos. But I think what I wanted to do is just give people a context in terms of what it actually looks like. Sorry, dude, I need you to. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So if I just show you very, very quickly, I'm just going to run through some pictures here just to give you some context. So that was Hilda and I on the small little airplane on the way in. This is, that next picture was the first, so that was my first view of Necker Island. That's Necker Island in front. That's Hilda and I on the speedboats. You land by plane and probably half an hour by speedboat. And then this was the view from my bedroom. And off to the left here is the Great House, which is where Richard lives, and then behind that's the temple. Down below here is the lake with all the flamingos, etc., etc. And this was up in the main entertainment area. So you've got the pool rooms. It's really this huge space, and you've got 360-degree views all the way around you. This is looking down to one of the places where people sleep. There's about, I don't know, Hilda, if you know the number, but there's about 15 rooms or something, 15, 20 rooms. And that's down one of the beaches. There's a whole zip line thing that goes down there. This was the dinner table where we had dinner on the first night. So you can see this wasn't 500 people there.
But the photos are loading slower than what you're talking.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm not going to show too many. I mean, they're all on Facebook. If people want the link, just type in Facebook, and I'll send you the link later. What photo are you on there? Okay, so you're on the right photo. Okay, so if you look back, this is looking back at the games room again with all pool tables and TVs and karaoke's and chess sets and everything else. This is a photo that Hilda took for me, which was a hugely exciting moment for me to finally be on Necker, which was really much a dream come true. that was my room looking out with the view. And this was the very first night's dinner. You can actually see Richard sitting there with the grey hair. And right from night one, I was blown away by his sense of adventure and wanting to have fun and not trying to kind of put it on. It was very authentic. And this was actually him trying to learn to twerp. Is it twerp or twerk or twirt? I don't know. Twerk. So this is him trying to learn to twerk, which I mean, I couldn't believe it, literally from the first night. So you can just see you've got all the endangered animals, the beautiful gardens. I just wanted to give you a feel for this is down the bottom in amongst all the forests and everything else. I love this picture with the little lemurs all sitting and crouching together and having, that's apparently what they do. That's the tennis court that every single morning at 7 a.m. he wakes up and he's got a tennis professional and he plays tennis to stay fit. And then he works for the morning. Or if the winds are good, he goes kite surfing. And then the rules on Necker, you're not allowed to work in the afternoon. So it's quite amazing. And then he plays tennis, I think it's 6 p.m. every evening. So he's highly, highly fit in terms of what he does. And then that's looking back at the great house in terms of where we're at. But I think Hilda, while I've got these pictures up.
Why don't you can we tell people about the temple?
Yeah, 100%. So actually, sorry, it's coming up now. So there's the tortoise.
Oh, okay.
And let me just go quickly. I'm going to flick through these pictures. They don't really need explaining. I think they're self-explanatory. But the temple's coming up. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about was abundance. And you'll see the pictures coming up now. I actually got hold of them and said, could I bring my own kite surfing kit? Because, they probably got like 3 on the island or something, and I didn't want to have to wait. And there were more kite surfers than I've seen in most kite surfing shops. That's a very captivating picture, which was a very good-looking South African girl. And I did personally ask Richard how his wife actually allows him to get away with that. And that I think, Hilda, for me was one of the things I liked most was that it was such a relaxed atmosphere that you could literally ask the questions. And he actually said to me, he said, his wife's got a very strict leash, and she knows when to let it out and when to pull it back in. And I thought it just really gives you a character of who the guy is. But where's the temple gone now? So I'm looking for that picture of the temple while I flick through these pictures of the island. Coming up, there it is. So Hilda, why don't you tell us about the temple? You've been there twice. You can see there should have the picture of the temple up now.
So Richard has started a group called the Elders, which is the 12th wise men in the world, with the likes of Nelson Mandela was part of it, Kofi Annan. I can't remember all the names now. Desmond Tutu.
There are a couple of American presidents, and yeah.
Yes, and their role is to create peace on earth. So they go in wherever there's a problem to be solved. The elders would go into those countries and help stabilize or negotiate on behalf, with governments. And what's nice is those pillars that you see. There's 12 pillars, one for each of the elders. So it was just the energy in that room. When you think how many great minds was in that room when they start, how they thinking about creating a different world, how to create world peace. And you're sitting in the same room, in the same place as those amazing people. It's just mind-boggling. For me, that was just a nice story.
No, 100%. And if I get time later, I can flick through some more photos. I think I've given you an idea, and as I said, we do have the video that I sent out. But I wanted to share with you probably the question that I got asked most, and I did find it quite funny because I think I had 3 times more likes on that picture with Richard Branson than I had on my wedding day, which kind of shows people what they're interested in. But something I wanted to share with you that I found astounding was that I think that I'm pretty good at my goals, but the people and the caliber of people who were on the island just blew me away. I mean, there was one guy that sold his business for $800 million. He's actually bought a piece of land on Richard Branson's other island for $18 million, and Bono wants to buy it, and he turned him down. And not many of us get to turn Bono down. But the point is, these people that we met were so clear on their goals. And I wanted to share I made a video about this, but, Hilda said, she wanted to go, and then this year she recreated it. For me, Richard Branson, I wrote my goals more than 10 years ago where I wanted to meet him. I met him in 2010, and then in 2013, I actually saw a video with Roger Hamilton on the island, and I was like, right, I didn't even know you could go there. And so I set myself the goal, and to be honest, I'm a big believer when you know where the top of the mountain is, it doesn't matter what it takes, you work backwards and you create it. And I wanted to share with you just a real tangible example of that. This is my dashboard that I've got on my desktop. So it's an old one. It's from 2013. And when I moved to Knysna, I decided that I wanted to buy a boat. And there was a specific boat I wanted that I could water ski with and go out through the head. So I went online and I found the picture and I put it there on my dashboard. And 2 to 3 months later, it was about October and in December, I went to the boat shop and I said, listen, I want to buy this specific boat. And they said they've got none available. And they said, but there is one coming down from Durban. It'll arrive on Tuesday. And if you want to buy it, you can. The problem is that I had no choice. I had no choice of what it looked like. I had no choice of the colors. If I wanted to buy it, it was going to be the only one that was going to be available until March. And so this was the picture. If I zoom in a bit, it was on my desktop, and you can see the boat and the pictures that I was visualizing and looking for. The boat that I bought, that's what it looks like, and hopefully it's come up now. You can literally see the color scheme is exactly the same. I mean, you've got the dark blue line, the light blue line. If you look at the interiors, that's my son and myself. You can actually see the blue line all the way around. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, it is literally a carbon copy from a picture that I just found on the internet to the one that I now today own. And if you look, at the back, the front of the boat, you can see the designs are exactly the same, even the little wings. And my point being, Hilda, is that, you're someone who's very driven and very clear as to what you want. And I think, I equally am. And I wanted to share to people that it's not about how you get to Necker Island or necessarily what you have to do. The most important thing that you've got to be clear on is the why. And then when you know why and exactly what you want, you can literally go out there and make anything happen. There's something else that I think is really, really important. And Hilda shared a little bit of her story. Some of the lessons that I wanted to share just quickly is that I've been very fortunate to only ever play in a space that I'm really passionate about. I did my first property project when I was 13. I literally renovated our house and put on a double bedroom with a bathroom. When I was 22, I did my first property development. It was 6 townhouses in Cape Town. When I was 24, something changed in my life. I bought a house in London. So that's my first house. I was 24 years old. We bought a 3-bedroom house. We renovated it. We stuck an extra 2 bedrooms on. And along with the fact that I went to London and I set up a business in London, I learned how to start owning offshore assets that provide you with an offshore income. And really for me, that's changed my life. I was very lucky it happened for me at the age of 24. I mean, I've got my partners sitting in the room here. I know for them it happened at different ages. I'll never forget when Jaco Maritz, one of our partners, came to America and he realized and understood how to get started in the international world and start to own first world assets. And I said, dude, once you've earned $1, there's no going back. And Hilda, I don't know from your perspective, if you just want to share a little bit of your evolution as to how you evolved from kind of South Africa and being kind of a big fish in the small pond to playing on the global scale and the freedom that gave you.
Yeah, Scott, I'm still a student in that level. I'm still not nearly, if we talk big and we think we talk big and you get to first world countries, and then you just keep quiet because then you realize your talking big or thinking big is still way too small. Just to put in context, a small company in America would be between $50 to $100 million turnover or revenue. So there's not very many entrepreneurs that even create that sort of in rand value. And so I think for me it's just to expose yourself to those brains, to those thinking, to stretch your thinking all the time. And I find when I don't do that, I start thinking small. I sort of my shrinking become used to and then like now when I go and I'm exposed to that thinking and I'm exposed to how successful people do life and do business, then you stretch again right from the start. So people we need to think bigger, and we need to expose ourselves to other people's thinking. Like for instance, like last year I went when I came back from Necker, it was, wow, how awesome would it be to have an island? And but I almost didn't want to allow myself to think an island, because nobody in South Africa even thinks about owning an island anywhere. Yeah, there was about 3 or 4 other people actively looking for islands to own. So it's almost, okay, hey, it's okay to think about it. So your stretch thinking then becomes your norm when you do things that on a global level. And if you look at really the most successful people there, and you, great that you started doing it on 24. For most of it, we started much later in life. But with one of our properties that I invest in, one of our wealth Migrate properties, it's so awesome every time I get my quarterly dividends. Of course, it's more rands every time because of our rand that's depreciating. So it just creates an abundant life in first world terms, because your dollars gets worth more and more over time.
Well, I think Hilda, I think that's really the essence of what you're saying, and it's so important for people. And sorry, if you had something else to say there, please jump in. But for me, it's like it's that whole owning first world assets and owning first world income allows you then to play on the global scale and not only be able to afford to go to Umhlanga every year.
Nothing bad with Umhlanga, but yes, there's other beaches in the world also.
I wanted to just share some things that I think are really relevant. I decided, and a lot of people have been on my webinars and stuff. Half my family comes from Zim, and I've lost 3 farms in Africa already. So my philosophy of having all my eggs in one basket, it's not just the awesome side of being able to have amazing experiences, but it's also the pain of having all my eggs in one basket. And so I, at the age of 26, started a company, and it was very much based on the IPS company, International Property Solutions, and based on Zig Ziglar's principle that if you help enough other people get what they want, you can have anything you want. And we've done over 2,200 investments in South Africa, the UK, Australia, and America, and more recently through Wealth Migrate, we've done a lot of commercial deals, big medical deals, literally multi-million-dollar deals. And my point being is that there's a lot of people now in South Africa that are using this as an example where they can open up the world. And someone like Hilda is living in South Africa, loving the lifestyle here, but ultimately, by being a global citizen, has then ultimately bought the assets and is earning the foreign income and is not then tied to the rand. Because the problem we've got as South Africans, and I wrote about this in my book, but it was a study done in the Global Wealth Index, but for the last 30 years, our wealth has devalued by 29.5% every single year for the last 30 years. And so, if you want to go to Necker next year, the chances are it's going to be more expensive than it was this year in rand terms. And it's something that, we as South Africans, not being negative, it's something that we've got to be very, very aware of if we want to continue to play on the global scale and what it is that we do. The other thing that I think is critically important is a saying that I've heard before, but I found for our own team just last week. And I wanted to just say, because I think, Hilda, one of the things that's very important is that people see what you've done, and they might see some of the results that I've done, and most importantly, we both end up in Necker, and they think that it probably happened overnight. And, I love this saying that people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 10. And when you look back at it, I'm 38 years old. I mean, I've been investing internationally since that London property for 14 years, in property in total for 17 years. And, you've been, I know for a fact, your business you ran for over 10 years just in itself. So, I think really one of the lessons that I'd like to impart on people, and then I'd like to know your opinion on this, Hilda, is that people, again, need to be very clear on what they want. And then buying a property overseas or going to Necker Island, or however crazy or difficult it sounds or feels, it takes 2 steps. It firstly takes deciding what you want to do, and then you ultimately just have to get started. And, it's a bit like running comrades. You're not going to finish it in 3 minutes, but if you start the journey, you'll get to the end. And I'm not sure if you've got stuff to add there, and then I want to get into the lessons. But I just wanted to give people an idea and hope as to what they can do and how they too can have that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you don't know what you want, then how will you ever know if you get? So you need to be, and I think that comes through with every successful person I've met is they're very, very clear on what they want. And the how doesn't really matter how they're going to get there, but do you need to know what it is that you want, and you need to know why it is that you want it. So yeah, that's just part of becoming, and I think every effective, successful person has that in any case in their modus operandi or the way they do their life. So, but I think a lot of people are too impatient. We want it now. And just remember, I think most of the billionaires in the world, not the young under 30s, but most very rich people only become really, really wealthy between 50 and 60. So it takes time to learn the lessons, to make the mistakes, to correct your mistakes, and to create a great business. So just get out there, take action. Here was what it is that you want to achieve.
No, I think that's very valuable. One of the books I love is that Rule of 10,000 Hours. And again, I'm just trying to reiterate to people that, as an example, any goal, investing overseas, going to Necker Island, it's a big, audacious, hairy goal. But the point is, once you set your mind to it, it is possible, and certainly over time, it truly can happen. And I wanted to share these pictures. The other thing that I wanted to share, which I found absolutely amazing, and I just put up a poll there if anyone wants to quickly vote on it, and then I'm going to close it. But if you took Richard Branson, I'd like you just to explain, Hilda, in your own words, your understanding of just the character himself and like his authenticity. And if I'm going to close this poll now, and people will actually be able to see the picture that I've got up on my screen, because really when you see these people that are living a life that is just phenomenal, they have a strategy which is kind of be, do, have. And most people want to have and then do and then be, but ultimately the case being is that they need to decide and live the life that they truly can have, and they need to start today, not wait for tomorrow or next week or for another excuse. And I mean, I think it's a great genre into asking you, what's your experience? You've spent 2 weeks with him now. What's been your experience of the man himself?
I think that he is humble, and he's not. And you think, when he enters the room, he's probably the most successful. He's achieved what we can only dream to do in life, and he walks in, and sort of he sneaks in. He doesn't want to be noticed. He doesn't want to necessarily be the person, that everything centers around. And that gives him the power about, I think, because he's so nonchalant. And I always joke with him because, when there's parties in the evening or there's functions in the evening, he's the master of sneaking away, because, again, he doesn't want all the attention on him. So, yeah, we keep on, or I joke with him to say, you're really the master of sneaking away. And he just said, but there's so many parties that he he had to learn that trick. But I think, and he listens to everyone, and he has his notebook with him everywhere. He takes notes, he makes notes, and I think one of the big lessons is, and what I've seen is, instead of going there and access knowledge or listen to him and listen to when he speaks, usually it's words of wisdom that comes out. It comes from a place of 40 years of experience. And most people try to speak to him and pitch their business or pitch their idea. He's not interested. He doesn't even know you. Why would he want to listen to your idea? And I think he gets more when people listen and people ask questions. It puts him more in a relaxed state than he has to stand up and like all this pitching that. And he's very kind and he's very polite about it. But I think he's just a real person. He's an authentic person. I mean, we had that one case, and you were there, when someone did a presentation and went in way too much detail for his liking. And very, very nicely asked the person, please, can you stop your presentation, because he can't listen to this. And it was done in such a nice way that you almost feel good that he stopped you doing your presentation. So, yeah, he's just really a nice guy.
100%. I wanted to, I just made some notes here. Well, actually, one of our friends who was on the island added some extra notes, and I thought, just to back up what Hilda said, exceptionally down to earth guy, doesn't regard himself above anyone else, very comfortable in his own environment. I mean, very playful. I mean, one of the things that blew me away is, I'm sorry to say this, but he's a naughty little shit. Like he's always looking for a prank and a joke. I mean, if there's a tent and it's got water in it, he'll stand on a chair and push it up, and everyone will get wet. And if you're standing near the pool, whether you got a cell phone or not, it's irrelevant. I mean, if you've seen Roger Hamilton's video, he actually pushed him into the pool while he was filming, and Roger managed to like throw the phone away so it didn't get wet. But I mean, I must have seen, I don't know, Hilda, if you saw, but at least 4 people into the pool. The one night
That was really
thrown
funny.
in the sea. It's just he's like constantly looking to have fun. And one of the things that I've learned, and I've had the privilege of spending some time with some highly successful people, but sometimes it's not authentic. Like it might just be being put on as a game or something. But it's just who he is. He's just naughty, basically.
Can you remember that we were in his other island for lunch, and he made all his staff dance on the table? Can you
No,
remember that?
100%.
So it's just like looking for fun, the opportunity for fun. And the staff feel so engaged because he engages them in something as silly as dancing on tables over Sunday lunch.
No, it was incredible. I mean, for me, the other thing that blew me away was his daily schedule. So he wakes up at 5 in the morning, and he works for 2 hours, which is London time, because BVI is about, I think, 6 hours behind London. And then he plays tennis at 7 in the morning. And again, if the weather's good, as I said, he goes kite surfing. Then he works till about 12:30, at which time it's lunch. And then the rules on Necker are no work after lunch. And so he'll do things and entertain himself and meet people and whatever. And then he'll often kite surf in the afternoon, and then another game of tennis. But one of the things that I found fascinating is he'll come to Necker and he'll relax and everything else. But then he was leaving the day we left, and I can't remember, but it was something like 4 countries, 4 launches in 6 days. Something ridiculous, like on 3 continents. I don't know, Hilda, if you had any more details, but I think you told me.
No, he went to open his hotel in Chicago, then they went to England, then they went to Morocco, then they went to Tunisia. So I think it's 4 countries, in as many days. So it's insane energy, but he has a great, immense support system to do that grueling schedule.
Well, you see, I come on to the next thing, and for me, Hilda, it's really really valuable, which is he's immensely healthy. I look at it, and I'm 38 years old, and I'm averagely healthy, averagely fit. And we did this amazing race, which was really really difficult, especially for Hilda because she tried to do it barefoot, where we had to run all over the island, and we had to do all these like physical contact things. I mean, one of them we had to take a paddle board and we had to dig a hole underneath, and we had to like pull 8 people underneath the paddleboard. Now, I know most people who are 65 would go, it's sandy, and I don't want to get involved. But to be honest, he was played as hard as anyone else. And I mean, my team was pretty average. We were somewhere near the back, and I only managed to pass him with literally like a couple of 20, 30, 50 meters to go. And I mean, when you consider, I was really strenuous, don't get me wrong. So, I mean, he's so fit and healthy, and it's the tennis and the kite surfing, and one of the things that I learned about age is that, for a 65-year-old, he's got more energy than most 45-year-olds. And there are a lot of 65-year-olds that think they're reaching retirement and everything. And one of the things I learned is purely attitude in terms of what's happening. Another thing that they did a huge amount of, which was brainstorming. It was about business and how business can create a better planet, how we can make the world a better planet, and our entrepreneurs are responsible for creating the planet of the future. And he talks about the 3 things: people, planet, profit. And I mean, we had a lot of sessions with Virgin Unite. We had one with the turtles, so it wasn't all just money and making, capitalism. It was how do we give back and what happens. And, I know, Hilda, you've had a huge amount, in that space of the philanthropic role. But for me, what fascinates me is those people that are highly successful tend to be more philanthropic than others. And most people say, yeah, well, it's really easy because they got lots of money. But that's not the way it works. It's the be do have. They were like that when they got started, not when they finished. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I want to get back to your first thing about the health and about the fitness. It's unbelievable, his level of fitness. But I think one of the conversations we had came up that for entrepreneurs, your only tools to make money is your body and your mind. So those are the things that you have to, without a healthy mind and without a healthy body, there's no ways that you'll be able to make money. That's where in your mind especially is where your money is being generated. So, in general, in conversations that I find with a lot of the successful people have in common is their morning rituals, their mind feed, how they take care of their minds, how they still their minds, do they do meditations, all of those things that one has to incorporate, and I'm incorporating currently in my life. But yeah, those are the two tools you will make your money with, is your healthy body and your healthy mind. And it's not almost even a discussion that we can ignore the fact that we need to keep our tools sharp and healthy. The other thing on the philanthropy and on giving back, I think I was at a function. I was at a thing in the quote that was said is that to who much has been given, much is expected of. So I think for us that's successful in life and in business, that is a gift that's been given to us, and it's almost our responsibility to use the gift of success to make the world a better place and to be an example for others. So for anybody that a lot has been given, even if you work for it, that has been given to you, and it is expected that you would make a difference. And it's not just, I went to take the turtles because there's a big the hunting and poaching of turtles and eating of turtles, so there's hardly any turtles left in the BBI. And just to be able to go and see and catch them, tag them, release them, and help the organization with ideas on how they could better protect the turtles, or better create campaigns or whatever, didn't cost money. It was just, that's how you help, and they took away and they can go and implement.
Hilda, in terms of the philanthropy side, I wanted to share a little bit about this 2020 vision, because it really blew me away. The caliber of people, you had Richard, you had Roger Hamilton, you had the Maverick crew, you had, you need to help me, what's that lady's name with the passion test?
Janet Atwood.
Janet Atwood. There was the guys that wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and all these kind of worldwide kind of people that have huge impact around the world all got together, and we're having a discussion around 2020 and the impact that we could have on the planet, and the play on words of 2020 being 2020 eyesight, and then 2020, the year 2020, and the vision, and how for the next 5 years what we could do to have the greatest impact on the planet, and how we could influence more than 1 billion people. And I think it was hugely inspiring for me just to hear and to meet and to realize, I know that we've been really passionate and been pushing and driving the wealth movement, and it was really, really great to meet so many other people that wanted to make such a difference on a collective scale, and how we could make the world such a better place. And someone like Richard Branson has been an advocate for that for years, but really it's now becoming a lot of other people that are kind of joining the fold, and it's getting a real momentum. And I think it's incredibly exciting when you consider, like, even what Peter Diamandis talks about with abundance, of really where the world can go, and what an impact individuals can make on the planet. And I don't know, Hilda, from your perspective, when you look at this 2020 vision, and some of the stuff that we've even spoken about with the wealth movement, I know that people were pretty impressed with what we've been trying to do, and it's very young in terms of the number of months even that it's been around, but the bigger picture principle of how to impact people, and again, using your entrepreneurial ability to get that scale and to get that exponential impact. What's your thoughts on kind of the bigger picture and how the whole world's coming together to make these changes?
There is a huge trend, almost of business, where your business is a force for good. The businesses of the future will not be profitable if part of their
Are we losing you a little bit? Okay, just we seem to. Hilda, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Sorry, just froze for a little bit. You said businesses wouldn't be profitable.
No, okay, so help me back. No, I said it's the evolution of business is we know entrepreneurs really
Hilda, unfortunately,
pretty much
the line's
up to the
breaking.
entrepreneurs out there,
The line,
and there's a huge movement. You're not alone.
can I ask just quickly, is it just me or is it everyone where Hilda's breaking in and out? Could you just tell me, because it's breaking in at the moment quite badly in and out on my side. Okay, no, it is okay. So Hilda, I'm not sure, it was working perfectly and now it's breaking in and out. I'm not sure what changed there. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you clearly again. Yep.
Okay. I don't know if it's my. So did you hear my answers? That I think that give you a bit of a idea where I am.
Okay, it broke in and out a little bit, but we got lots to share. So I'm going to keep going. I wanted to share with people, and you spoke about having a book and how Richard Branson writes everything down, and we were actually shared this book. You should be able to see it on my webcam, which was the book that we were given when we went to. Oh, sorry, I need to close the poll. Hang on 2 seconds. So you should be able to see it now on my webcam, which was this book that we were actually given. And I had the privilege of sitting down and taking notes and going through it. And I just wanted to share with you some of the stuff that we actually learned. I've got all these notes, and to be honest, I could stay here for 2 hours reading you stuff. And I've spoken. Hilda and I have discussed it today. Just some of the more important things that came up. But Hilda, I think from your perspective, what would you say would be kind of the top three things that you would take away and learn from the experience?
Do you mean just from the experience, from the other people, or specifically from Richard?
Well, to be honest, you're learning. So, the three things that you would say that for you changed you. So, whether it came from Richard or from talking to one of the other entrepreneurs on the island, lessons learned. I don't really mind where they came from. It's still a lesson that you learned. I'll
Again,
yeah,
the big. Can you hear me?
yeah, we got you. Yep.
Okay. I think to me is again being reminded of thinking big. Don't play big, think big, do big, and also think global. There's so much opportunities for South Africans and our ideas and our businesses on a global scale. So think global, and so that's the second thing. And again, I think it's just have fun in your business. Go out, restore, regroup, have fun, and go back, refresh to your business. So, a lot of us, we work too hard, we're too much in our business, and we never get a chance to almost refresh ourselves and come back with new ideas. But to me, what the most amazing was, so anybody that knows me, every now and again, like a savannah, but you don't get savannas anywhere outside of South Africa. If you travel to, I've never seen it anywhere outside of Southern Africa. And they actually had savannas for me. They flew it in for me because someone on my behalf requested it. That I thought was quite awesome.
Well, that's incredible. It really shows you the level of detail and attention to detail that they had. I'm trying to find this.
The midnight munchy fridge.
Hey?
Scott, the other level of detail is the midnight munchy fridge.
Yes, no, I
was also.
I was going to choose. I'm trying to get the picture. Is the screen not coming up there, Michiel? I'm trying to choose the picture. I want to actually show you. There it is, our photo. I wanted to just share with you the picture that Hilda was speaking about. Um,
I
so,
lost
so
your are they?
there it is. It comes up now. So this for me sums it up perfectly because we as South Africans love to have a fire, and quite a few South Africans I know have a nice fire pit outside their house, and it might be 30 centimeters high and maybe half a meter wide at best. But this is their fire pit. It was about 2 cubic meters, and you can actually see Richard standing there with one of the delegates who was an Australian girl, and really interesting. I mean, it literally was about 2 meters high and about 2 meters wide, and it's actually been handcrafted where all the characters there are actually real people. So like one of them is Desmond Tutu, so it's all the elders. So like Nelson Mandela, etc. And I was interested, talking about what Hilda said. Richard was completely relaxed. He was actually signing one of Hilda's magazines, and they were chatting about, her article that she had written, etc. And then he got really grumpy when the fire wasn't working. And like just like a typical boy, he just wanted to make his fire, work. And I think, to sum up what you were saying, Hilda, because it's actually my number one lesson, is that we just think too small. And for me, this fire pit like summed it all up. You know what I mean? Like we all have these small little fire pits, and he goes, "Well, I want a big fire pit," and so he just has a big fire pit. And I mean, if I can find that picture that you just spoke of, Hilda, which I loved, which was this one, and basically the rules were you could go anytime and go in any fridge, help yourself. The rules are what would you do in your own home. But I mean, after reveling late at night, one night I went in to go to the fridge to find some food, and there's actually like a sign, late night snacks, like so you don't raid the rest of the fridges. And it's just that attention to deal, whether it's the savannah or whatever. And then the other thing that I found absolutely fascinating, which Richard speaks a lot about, is teams first. And I think really from my perspective, and I want to show you this picture that Hilda actually was talking about. So this was actually her and him at his private house, and where we went to Mosquito because Neck is now not private enough for him. He wants another private island, and he's building a brand new house. And that was Hilda and him just discussing their house. But like she said, that afternoon, it just turned into like this really, really fun. So that's the view from his private house, which you should be able to see there. And maybe I can make that full screen. And the point is, I wanted to show with you the fun that Hilda was talking about. So there's him. I was sitting right next to him. And hang on, I've just got to get you. Oh, we lost it again. I've just got to get you back up on the screen.
I'm just gonna go.
Okay, so where have you gone now? Okay, so you should have the picture coming up again. And I mean, this was just lunch. There was no alcohol, no funny things. It was just people literally having fun. And sorry, it's still not showing here. And you'll see now, like when this picture comes up, and one of the things that I learned, and one of the big takeaways for those people that own a business, is that most people focus on shareholders. They might focus on clients, but he focuses on teams. He focuses on his team. It's all about creating the team culture. It's all about the character of the people. And he says he spends all his time with his teams, praising his teams. He doesn't believe in being negative, and ultimately looking for good things. And when you look at it and the atmosphere, it was us just having lunch. There was me dancing on the table. But I wanted to show you just quickly. This was just two of the staff members, literally just spontaneously jumping up and dancing and having fun. And I think you read a lot about it in books, but actually to physically see it in terms of the culture and the creation. And I made quite a few notes on this that I just wanted to share a little bit about staff. One of them, which I find fascinating, is that often we have a problem with delegating. And I said you've got to be very careful when you delegate. You mustn't abdicate. So you still got to follow up and train and help people. And also a lot of people try and do everything themselves. But if you do something 100% and someone else can only do something 80%, but they can hire someone who can do the other 20%, well, 80 plus 20 equals 100 again. And I thought that was absolutely classic. You've got to create a culture to support the revenue mechanism. And in terms of the delegation, when he's a big believer in delegation, and that's allowed him to live the life that he wants. But he doesn't second guess people. He allows them to make mistakes. He bites his tongue, even though he knows people are going to make a mistake. And he believes that it's all about finding the right people. And if it's the wrong person, then he hasn't played his role in terms of what is happening. It's all, it's all about having fun. And something Hilda mentioned earlier, which I really want to just reiterate here. When the elders were there, they actually said that the elders decided that the greatest skill was listening. And most people, don't listen, and that you can learn something from literally everyone. And something else that I found absolutely fascinating was how mentors are incredibly important. But he said something which really blew me away, and I wrote it down. And I mean, just so that you know, I'm reading directly from my book here with my notes. And literally, he said, if you're a good listener, then everyone can be your mentor. And if you think about that, that's extremely, extremely powerful in terms of what is happening and where the world is going. And, I think one of the things that I wanted to share as well is that one of the guys, and it wasn't Richard Branson, one of the other guys said, what you do in something is what you do in everything. And I think a lot of people will, get to Friday afternoon and I think, I'll slack off today or whatever. And his philosophy, and to be fair, this guy runs a major business running the logistics behind Heathrow and multiple airports in America. And his philosophy is no matter what you do in life is the way you do everything in life. And really, you've got to turn up and play absolutely, full on and show up and be your best. And one of the questions that I found really, really fascinating is what is it that's stopping you be your absolute best? And we challenged this question and we were asking, what is it? And if you think to yourself, what is it that is stopping you being your absolute best? What would you say? So the number one thing that came up is that we stop ourselves. And really, when you think about that and you think of the power of that, is that really your frame and your consciousness is only really as big as you'll allow it to be. We stop ourselves from making those decisions in terms of what it is that we do. And I mean, there's a picture there of me on Neck Island, and the guy that took the picture could have taken his thumb out of it. But the point being is that for me, it really sums up, someone who dreamed about something and ultimately managed to turn it into a reality. Something else that I wanted to share, which I thought was really, really interesting, was, which I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, is what are the 3 criteria that Richard would like before he invests in a business? Who would like to know that? Anyone want to guess? So no one wants to guess. But okay, so the 3 criteria are that he'll only invest in a company now that can be $1 billion company, and it needs to have 100 million clients or more. He wants to be able to look at how he can use the Virgin brand and really extrapolate upon the Virgin brand and in terms of what they've got and what they've created. And the third thing is that there already needs to be a world-class team in place. So like Hilda said, don't turn up and try and start pitching whether or not you've got a business and you've got a great idea. There's loads of great ideas out there. I mean, anyone that started a business will know that. It's actually about the implementation and whether the team can turn that idea into something wonderful. And for me, just trying to make sure I've got the slides up for you there. I don't know what's going on with this computer.
And again, if I can just put to the team, if I can just interrupt you there, Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you clearly.
Got me. Is while we were at Necker and while Richard was having fun and I don't work in the afternoon, the team sold 80% of Virgin Active and he made like 12.5 billion rand or 580 million pounds in a week where we didn't even know he was working. So that's the way to live, to do life.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very, very valid point, And again, for me, Hilda, that comes very much back to this delegation that so many people, even myself, struggle with, and yet by delegating, he's empowered so many other people around the world. He's empowered companies, and I mean, one of the questions I asked is, I said, how did you create such a wonderful team atmosphere where everyone feels like they're part of the decision making and the autonomy? And yet equally, when you disagree with people like with Virgin Atlantic, you still went ahead and kind of didn't necessarily listen. And he said the most important thing is that he gets the operational team to buy into the idea. if the board doesn't like it, well, that's tough because he's the majority shareholder. And he said there's always, you've got to be, you've really got to, I wrote some notes down here. You've really got to be able to follow your intuition. And he said, the accountants out there are not going to like what I'm about to say. But he said basically that you can't trust the accountants. They'll always give you 100 reasons why it won't work. He also said that 90% of people are put on this planet to tell you why stuff won't work, and yet your intuition, and as your experience grows, you'll get more and more intuition. And he says, don't listen to the accountants. Go out there, create a great business, change people's lives, and you'll get the results. And for me, it was just fascinating. For someone who was telling us about one of the deals that they're doing at the moment, where they're about to bring, I can't remember, I think it's 2 cruise line ships onto the ocean, and they spent $2 billion in this investment. And he said then they did let the consultants go and do the research. But he said it's just not how he does business in terms of where he is. And in terms of some of the other lessons that I think are really, really relevant for people is that there were 2 guys there, and I've spoken about this guy John.
I think you also said you're into.
Yep, sorry. Hilda? So I don't know where Hilda's gone there, but just coming back to what I was saying about John. John, as I said to you, ran a telesales company, sold it for $800 million, and the other guy, Ben, runs literally the logistics behind some of the biggest airports in the world. And the 2 of them have actually written a book on how an operating system to scale a business and the whole methodology behind it. And having done it themselves, they were like, the problem is that most people think they've got to go out and create something from scratch. And it's not the truth. There's literally a way to do it. And they've shown the way. And they say that there's actually an inflection point around $5 million between a company that goes bankrupt and a company that goes to $250 million plus. And something that I find fascinating, it's not the first time I've heard that, is that there's a formula. And so for those of you that are looking to run their business, there's literally a formula out there as to how to do it. And again, it wasn't just Richard Branson that we were learning from. It was these other great guys. There's also a video that I want to share with you that Hilda shared with me that John showed her called the Dream One, which was a concept where they went out and very much like the dreams that they have on over Christmas and whatever. But internally within their company, they gave away dreams. So if people wanted to have a birthday for their kids or a honeymoon, and like things that were really special within the team. And I'll share the video. I can't show you now on the webinar, but I'll share the video with you. And their company was 3 times more profitable than the average call center. So for those business people out there that think this is not important, it's incredibly important, and it enabled them to literally sell for $800 million. So Hilda, are you there? I just wanted to check if you were back.
I am here. It sounds like can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you clearly, yep.
Yeah, okay.
So I just wanted to share, and Hilda, please jump in, just a couple of little things that I think are very important. You can see this little picture, which is a really cool little analogy that I drew, which one of the Maverick guys, Yannick Silver, which some of you might know is an internet marketing genius, which is all about make more, have more, give more. And it's a really cool little image that if you didn't see it, I'm just going to put it up there again, but have more, make more, give more. And it's this whole, Richard Branson talks about people, planet, profit, and how you do it. I mean, just some tips that I want to just rapidly fire through. But, lessons about him. He's always taking notes. He's massively curious. And I think one of the things that Hilda's already mentioned, he uses a thing called learned incompetence. So he never tries to sound like he knows more. He always just asks questions so that he can find out the best thing from people and from teams. And one of the things he's really good at is mitigating risk and pattern recognition. So if he sees something that works, he uses it over and over again. He really, really cares. And Hilda mentioned this. He sees people as equals. And because of that, his philosophy is that the only difference between me and you is that the numbers are different. We still have the same problems and solutions. And it's a very interesting mindset. He talks a lot about passion and talent. And, if you're someone that is really, if you want to be good, that's great. If you want to be very good, that's also, but if you want to be great, you've got to have the passion and the talent, and you've really got to be in your flow and doing what you truly need to do. And if you don't know what flow is, go and look up Roger Hamilton. And we're really glad to have him and to be working with him. He said you've got to create an ecosystem to succeed, but yet you need disruptive collaboration. And there's two levers on this planet as to how we can create more exponentially, and it's technology and partnerships. And I think that for me was something that was really, really important. He also, when the house burnt down, and for those of you looking at the PowerPoint, you don't need to. I'm talking to you on the webcam. When his house burnt down, it was amazing. Within a week, he had the architect back there, and he phoned the architect and said, "Oh, the design's done." And the guy, Kenny, that actually is the general manager of NECA, said they still hadn't even put the fires out. Like, there were still smoldering parts of the house. And he was already into the future saying, let's build another one. What's it going to look like? And, Kenny said that...
But I think by him doing that, Scott, also got everybody to focus away from the disaster to a new opportunity and a new future, which everybody then created this, besides the fact that they thought he was crazy, gave them a total refocused them.
Yeah, 100%, and it's that whole, the leader gives the vision, gives out the goals, and the team executes. One of the things that Kenny said about him is that his philosophy in life is he can have anything he wants in life, but he uses business to be able to justify it. And I think, Hilda, you told me the story about the flamingos. Do you want to just share that? Because it's a massive mindset that us South Africans need to actually understand, that you truly can have everything, but you just got to work backwards and figure out how to create it.
Yeah, I think what is, you have your idea, and then, okay, who's going to do it? That's what his first question is. I have this idea, so who's going to run this company for me? But the flamingo story Scott was referring to is that he had the house with the overlooking the dam, and he wanted to see, when he wakes up in the morning, he wanted to have in his view, and at that point the flamingos are pretty extinct in that part of the world, and he wanted to use his land to bring back and restore. So he bought 50 flamingos, they settled them in on that dam, and the 50 flew away. So they woke up the next morning and there were no flamingos left. So then they built another little dam, and they bought 50 more, and for some reason that 50 stayed. And over time, the 50 that flew away came back, and he just got the best flamingo guy he could find to come and help them create the habitat for the flamingos, that the flamingos wanted to stay there. And currently there is hundreds and hundreds of flamingos. It's beautiful. So he created his own dream. He set out what he wanted, and 50 flew away, so there goes your dream. But you don't give up. You get in more, and then the 50 came back. So he now has more and a bigger reality of what he could ever have wished for or could have dreamed of.
He also told me that he does. He's got a special deal with some of the cruise liners, and they pay to come see the flamingos, and they were the ones that pay for them.
Yeah, so they can come on, and then the people pay a fee, and they can come and see the lemurs. He's got the lemurs, what is those dragon, massive lizard things, and the flamingos. So then people pay to come and have a look at these animals on Necker.
But it's just a mindset. It's like, right, I want this, so how am I going to make it work versus I can't have it? It really, really is fascinating.
Who's gonna pay for it, and who's gonna run it?
Something else that he said is that the busier they get, the more time they take out for communications. So it's interesting. I know certainly even in our own business, when we get too busy, we'd say, oh, we're too busy to have meetings and management and communication. Their philosophy was the more busy we get, the more time we take out for communication and internal management, which I found absolutely fascinating.
That's very true, because where we in general get so frenetic and caught up in busyness that there's no time for communication, they actually force themselves to stop and communicate and make sure that everybody knows what they want to do, and that actually puts the fire, or prevent fires from being created, and that into crisis mode all the time.
Something that I found fascinating, Hilda, was this whole delegating. and how he said the lowest person is the leader, and you need leadership at all levels, and you need a leader model. And really, when you think about it, I mean, he's got nearly 400 companies. I mean, if you just got one email from each company per day, I mean, I certainly couldn't keep up with 400 emails. So you think, how is it possible? When you just extrapolate, like just think if every CEO of every company just sent him one text message, like to reply, and the way that he's done it, and I wanted to really emphasize this, is through delegation and leadership, but empowering people. And then one of the things that I wrote down that blew me away is he says, we work for the employees. Like we're there for the employees to really be able to do it. And you know that for me is, when you think of it as a mindset, is a very, very different mindset. And I've read the books, as I'm sure many people have, and he speaks so much about how the team, and I've mentioned already, you know, really comes first, and how playing is so important. You know, that's why the team parties and the culture, and why Virgin's being able to build such an incredible team is because of that culture. And then, you know, he literally said that because he's delegated so well, he can get to do what he needs to do. And that's, again, a fascinating philosophy. I mean, he lives on that island for 8 months a year, and yet, you know, he's got these people around the world that really do it. I want to reiterate, Hilda, you said something which really blew me away. I've got a bit of a daily routine, and it makes my day different. But a lot of the entrepreneurs really spoke about how they've got this daily routine. They wake up, they meditate. I mean, I wrote down some of the things here: movement, meditation, mindfulness, be present, know exactly what you want to do. Be super intentional for the day, which was Jeff Walker. If most of you know him, is one of the most famous internet marketers who was there with us. Joy is your natural GPS, and tells you whether you're on track. We are a product of what we constantly do. And you know, one of the ladies there who was very, very spiritual said, "Life is meant to be enjoyed, not endured." And you know, I wonder how many people on this webinar tonight, you know, are super grateful for their life and are really enjoying it versus just enduring it, you know, which I think is quite an important thing. And the last thing that I wanted to share before we start to finish off here was that business is a series of sprints. And I know that I certainly learned this, where you work really hard and then you play really hard, and then you work really hard and then you play really hard. You don't kind of work 9 to 5. Like, that's not how it works, you know, in terms of where we are. And what we have is because of who we have become. And if you think about that wording, I mean, that's an incredibly, incredibly powerful wording, you know, and I'm going to repeat it. What we have is because of who you have become. And, you know, when you think of that, you really have to start to think to yourself, well, hang on, it's not about blaming other people. Everything you want in life is at your fingertips, and you can go out and create it. And, you know, something that Roger Hamilton said, which I love, and I wanted to finish off with it before I just show you a couple of slides to finish off, was be determined enough to make things happen, be graceful enough to let them happen, and be wise enough to know the difference. And
Oh, I love that.
I'm just going to repeat it because, you know, I think it's so important. Sorry, Hilda, just quickly. Be determined enough to make things happen, be graceful enough to let things happen, and be wise enough to know the difference. And, you know, I know for a fact myself, I tend to force things sometimes in life. And, you know, when you take that, you know, I think it really is really, really powerful statement. Sorry, Hilda, you wanted to say something.
No, I didn't. It's fine. I just wanted to use an example again of someone that's been exposed to was Kay. Exposed to bigger mind. She came as a housewife, came as a wife who thought she didn't really have a role in life or have a purpose as other than her husband's wife, and just being exposed to the conversations and the minds. 3 days later was a total different person, a total with so many plans of where she belongs in the world and how she can make a difference. To me, it was just amazing to see that transformation in one person to exactly what you just said, is be determined and let it happen.
Yeah, no, it is phenomenal. And, you know, in terms of, I wanted to show some slides, and, you know, I'll finish off, Hilda, and if there's things that you wanted to mention. I know one of the things we were discussing today, which I think is critically important, and that is, you know, I got back and I was talking to some of my friends, and they were like, oh, how did you do this? I mean, our company, just to put in perspective, has grown from $7.9 million to $15 million in the last 12 months. And people go, well, how did you do it? Like, what is happening? And I actually turned to them. I said, well, for me, it was really, really quite simple. We went out and, 4 or 5 years ago, I got myself an international coach. It was actually Roger Hamilton. And I said, oh, well, that's great. How much did that cost you? And I said, it cost me $1,000 a month. And he immediately turned to me and said, oh, I can't afford that. And I said, no, dude, you can. I know you very well, and I know what you can and can't afford. And the point of it is that most people in life want what we're talking about, but are not prepared to do it. And, when we tell them, like, this is what you got to do, just go out there and get a coach. And, and not a South African necessarily. I've got South African coaches as well. They're great. But you've got to have an international one that helps you being able to play at a bigger level. And, that's what things like this wealth movement are, but even more importantly, something that we're really passionate about, which is the Lemonade Day, which is where we're actually mentoring and helping children, and we're giving them literally two things. We're giving them self-belief, and we're teaching them how to create one rand or $1. And my philosophy is, once you know how to make 1 rand or $1, no school can control you, no university, no government, no country, nothing. And the philosophy of whether you look at a children that's just literally running a Lemonade Day stand, or whether you as an individual, it's about people that hold you accountable, give you the lessons, show you the roadmap, and give you the self-belief. And for me, Hilda, I know we discussed this in terms of getting a coach and being able to get this exponential growth. Is there anything that you wanted to share with that before I move on to the kind of
I think it's just the old cliche, opportunities come to the prepared mind. And you need to be prepared. You need to understand money. You need to understand wealth. You need to understand your definition of what is wealthy, what is the successful life. And then you need to know what you need to do to prepare for that. And then it's going to happen. But if you're not prepared for that, then you don't, if you don't know what you want to do and you don't know what your definition of success and wealth is, then don't be surprised if it's not coming your way, because you are not prepared to receive that.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I just wanted to share this Lemonade Day thing, and if people are interested, just type in their Lemonade Day, and we can send you some more details. But effectively, it's empowering children between the ages of 8 to 16. I believe it's one of the most important roles that we've got in this country to grow a great country. And between empowering people through wealth, through real estate, which is very much what we're doing through the wealth movement and wealth migrate, and Hilda and what we're doing in terms of empowering women and empowering children with entrepreneurial education. These are all things that certainly are very passionate to me, because life is much more than just ourselves. And one of the things I put in the email as to what I would share with people, which I certainly picked up, is one of the greatest advantages that we have of living in South Africa is that truly we understand the emerging world. And the Americans understand America. But we understand the rest of the world. We understand the emerging world. But for me, there is one core thing and I mentioned it earlier. If you want to live in South Africa, you've also got to take the responsibility to make sure that you have those first world assets, have those first world incomes, so that you can have that freedom, you can have that wealth preservation, that plan B, and most importantly, that peace of mind. And whether it's idyllic holidays like this, it's one of my favorite pictures of Necker Island, or whether it's literally a physical house in Atlanta that you can go out and buy. I mean, we still to this day, I know that Jaco just did a buyer's trip about 3 weeks ago, and 22 people actually bought houses very similar to this, in those price ranges with similar type returns. There's financing, there's leases in place, and really we're building this out now on the crowdfunding space as well, to really try and lower the barriers to entry. So whether people want to buy into a group of 10 houses, or whether they literally want to buy an individual house on their own, then they certainly can do that, with the financing of the direct investment. So, these are the type of things, and I don't share this to try and do any type of sales pitch to. I started off showing you my London house. I did that, at the age of 24, which was 14 years ago. And because I did that, it allowed me to start going to places like Necker Island 14 years later. And so you've got to understand that there is a direct path to doing this. And, I'm just sharing with you what I've personally done. I know that Hilda's done, stuff very, very similar. And I mean, recently, there's been a lot of people, a lot of clients that have invested in commercial buildings as well. So for some people, they want to look at residential properties, be it Australia, be it America, be it the UK. Others want commercial opportunities. And, I know Michiel and Henny have just got back from America and have found some amazing commercial, retail, medical buildings in Texas, in Atlanta. Michiel's sitting right next to me. Is there anything that I'm missing out? Any other place? And Florida. So tonight's not about, going through all those details. But if you want to know what we're doing from both our residential opportunities or our commercial opportunities, there's some amazing projects coming through in the pipeline. And so, you really got the opportunity to get engaged and to participate. And I know for a fact that, the clients that invested in this medical portfolio, I think it closed in August last year, more than 80% of those people have reinvested because it just works. They get paid every quarter. They understand how it works. I know, Hilda, you've had some experience. And, for people that are fearful of, it's, what's that Afrikaans saying? Ver van jou goed na aan jou skade. It's a long way away. I'm going to lose it. That's not the truth. That's not the reality. I don't know, Hilda, if there's anything you want to share on that.
I think it's that for some, if you get involved in the wrong crowd or the wrong people that taking your money or investments, yes, then that is. But because us, while Migrate is doing such a thorough job and such a good job, so it's very much important who you choose to partner with in your investments, as with anything else. But in my mind, while Migrate is the right people, the right partners, and we have amazing. The opportunity is now, and do it now, because in a year's time, you're going to be sorry you didn't do it today, and in 5 years' time, you're going to kick yourself even more. So it's just start, even if you start off small and build up your portfolio, but just start doing something. I look at my friends who started investing in Australia 5-7 years ago, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. And I'm kicking myself that I was too scared and too fearful to do anything 5 years ago. So I think it's just start small, get educated, build the relationships, and then start building your portfolio.
No, I think that's very, very valuable advice. And I don't know if you've seen this, Hilda, but you'll be glad to know that Kay from England is actually online. So she said, thank you very much for mentioning her story. And she said, you are the sum total of the people you spend your time with. So I just thought it was amazing that she's actually online. So, well, Kay, it's lovely to have you.
Oh, wow. Well, hi, Kay. Glad to be able to share your wonderful story.
So, I also wanted to share something, and I asked people now if they were looking, to possibly immigrate or get a passport. And I've done a lot of work in Australia. I've been working in Australia since 2008. And I know that Henny and Michiel are very excited at the moment. We've got a student accommodation opportunity there, plus a number of other commercial opportunities. But there's also a really great residential opportunity that's just come up. And I can see from Michiel's screen that, again, my screen's not showing properly. So just give me 2 seconds. And I just wanted to say to people, again, one of the greatest things that I've certainly learned in my life is that the peace of mind that comes with having options is really, really valuable. And, my uncle who lived in Zim, most of you have heard the story, immigrated to Australia in 2003. And he lives right near this development. And he hates property. Don't get me wrong. He's a stockbroker. And when he was there and I was asking him, this is now 2008, who should I go and talk to? And he actually said, if you're going to go and speak to a company, you should speak to a company called Australand, because they like, in South African terms, they're like a Robbie or maybe a Summercon. They're a publicly listed company. They build really good quality. And I think what's amazing is that we built a relationship with them over the last couple of years, and they're launching a development here, which is right, in the heart of Brisbane. And if I show you, you can see the river there, and you can actually see the location down in the southeast corner with the CBDs up here. This is the whole of the CBD here. You've got Kangaroo Point and everything else. Just for everyone's purposes, Michiel's student accommodation is right over here on South Bank, where a number of our clients have invested and done really, really well in the CBD. So I'm just going to put it out there. But if people are interested in Australia, we're actually launching that in the next couple of weeks. And the great thing with buying in Australia is that the yields are not as competitive as like America, as an example. But there's 4 reasons that have nothing to do with property that help you if you're thinking of possibly going to live in Australia one day. It helps you with immigration. It helps you with tax, etc., etc. And I can go into more detail. So if you're interested in Australia, just type in Australia, and we can send you more details. But for those of you who want to look at the more aspirational picture, there's the picture from the pool up the top, literally looking out over the skyline of Brisbane. I got my uncle to go down and look at the site. He was very complimentary of it. It's nice and close to the CBD, and it really can provide a solution for South Africans that are looking for opportunities in Australia. And again, gives you the peace of mind. You don't have to leave. But it's South Africa. I mean, I love living here, but I love the fact that I've got offshore assets overseas. And that's the little logo, Australand, in terms of the company who's bringing that to market. The last two things I wanted to mention was we do a lot of these buyers trips. We've got them to America. Our next one is in July, both on the residential side and on the commercial side. We are looking to arrange one to Australia as well. And really, when you go on a buyer's trip, I cannot speak more highly of the buyer's trips. You get the information on the ground. You meet the partners. What I love most is you learn from other engaged investors. So this massive hurdle of investing overseas becomes quite a lot easier when you do it with other people. They're there and you can bounce questions off them. I think something that's great is you can also take action. I mean, if you consider 22 people were able to invest on the last buyer's trip, there's nothing worse than when you fly to London because you want to own an offshore property and then you can't find the right partners, you can't find the right property, and you come home depressed. And the one thing that we are extremely good at, and that's having lots of fun. So, if you are interested in the buyer's trip, please just type in there buyer's trip, either Australia buyer's trip or USA buyer's trip, and we can give you more details. I know we've got another one in October to the Rugby World Cup for a very select few. We will watch the semi-finals on the weekend. We're going to look at commercial opportunities during the week, and then we're going to watch the Springboks win the final on the weekend. So if you're interested in that commercial trip to the UK, let me know. So you've got an Aussie buyer's trip, you've got a USA buyer's trip, and you've got a UK buyer's trip. And I'd like to say that I certainly recommend them for people that are looking for solutions. And then just some events that are coming up. I'm actually presenting at SAPOA. So any of you big property players that are coming to SAPOA down in Durban on the 19th, 20th, or 21st. I'm presenting at SAPOA, which is the biggest property event in South Africa, and I'm presenting on crowdfunding and the way that it's changing property worldwide. We've got a number of live breakfasts in June, towards the end of June, and so watch the dates where we'll get more into the detail and analyze the different markets. Between our team, we've already done, I've done 4 international trips in 6 weeks, so we can really give you kind of what's happening on the ground. And then something that Hilda and I actually had a meeting about today, which we're really excited about, is RICA, which is the 3rd and 4th of September. It's going to be in Johannesburg in Sandton, and it's going to be the first real estate crowdfunding event in Africa ever. In fact, it's going to be the first crowdfunding event in Africa ever, but with a specific focus on real estate. And so I suggest that you save that date, and we can give you some more details. So the last 2 questions I would ask yourself is really, what would stop you? What would stop you from living a life which is absolutely phenomenal? We've got a new tagline now, and it's Live Life Unlimited. And my question to you is, what is stopping you from living life unlimited? What is stopping you from owning offshore assets and owning offshore income? So when the rand devalues, you actually are happy and not sad. What is stopping you from having amazing experiences if you want to go to Necker, or, I had the privilege 3 weeks ago of going to watch the Hong Kong Sevens with Henny. Really, it's all about living your life and maximizing and creating the life that you truly want. And whether it's the nuts and bolts of how you invest and what you have to do, or whether it's just purely dreaming and setting your goals to make it happen, my question to you is, what is stopping you from having a life that you want and truly living life unlimited? Because for me, hopefully tonight we've given you some really clear next steps. But I think if I could give you just one thing, because there's been a huge amount of information tonight, the one thing that comes through over and over and over again is go away and think, what is it that you want? Once you know what you want and are very clear on it, to use the boat example, to use Necker Island, then you work your way backwards. And also, please do not limit yourself. Just because you want a fire pit, why do you have to have a 30-centimeter fire pit? Why can't you have a 2-meter fire pit and have loads of people there? And I just want to, really kind of impart upon this. And one of the greatest things that that my offshore investments and offshore assets, offshore income have provided me, the tangible benefits are peace of mind, the preservation of wealth, so that I'm not constantly concerned what's happening in the country, yes or no, or the economy or the currency. And then also a plan B. I think it's incredibly important for a family to be able to know that they've got a plan B. But ultimately, there's one word and there's one word only, and it's actually freedom. And really, it's the freedom to do whatever you want, to live wherever you want, your kids to go whatever school you want, whatever university. Michiel's sitting next to me here, and I'm not going to share his idea because it's such a good idea. But the bottom line is he's annoyed because his daughter can't do the course that he wants to do, and he's just creating an idea to solve the problem. Really, it's all about freedom, and it starts with the mindset. And I said to you in that email, I said, I was going to answer the question of how Richard Branson has literally changed the world with his mindset. And it all starts with, what do you want? And then having the freedom to go out there and do it. So, I think in conclusion, those are our contact details. If you want to go and look it up, you've got ipsinvest.com or wealthmigrate.com. There is a special SMS line that we've set up, +27 72 575 8719. What I would appreciate is that if people want to send an SMS on that line, and just give us one thing that you learned from tonight that you think is valuable. And if you do give me one thing plus your email, I will share with you a free copy of my book, which I promised on the email. So if you just send an SMS to that line, I will send you a copy. Hilda, we also promised that, and I know that you took the videos, and I'm not sure if you've uploaded them, the videos you took of Richard Branson when we were just having those discussions and some of the really kind of interesting lessons that he was teaching. Have you uploaded them to YouTube or something yet?
I've not. I'm busy editing them, so it's still in the process.
Okay.
But I'll make it available. I'll let you guys know.
Okay. So thank you very much, Hilda. So what we'll do then is once Hilda's finished with that, we'll share it with everyone who's online tonight. And what we also will do is that if you haven't watched it, I created a 7-video series, which every day I did a video, which I've used for many years now, where I actually record a video the next morning. And as much as you might think that I'm helping you, I'm very much helping myself, because every day I have to synthesize what were the big lessons that I learned that day. And I can share those videos with you. So certainly from my side, Hilda, I think I've tried to cover everything. Are there any closing thoughts from your side that you think are really important that you'd like to share?
Scott, I think we people much longer, but it's what you've said is spot on. Is a lot of us, especially South Africans, we don't even realize that we don't believe in freedom, but freedom is what life is all about, and we need to create freedom. And I think this is what Wealth Migrate is all about, is to be able to create the freedom for everybody. And then when you said, to be clear on what you want, I cannot emphasize that more, is be clear, because that is what you will get. And what's stopping you now is, what one of my coaches was saying, you either have your stories or you have success. So just listen to the stories you keep on telling yourself why things can't be done, and review your stories and tell yourself different stories, because it's either your stories or it's success. That can't be both. And thank you for everybody that joined us and listened to us. It's really awesome to share what we've experienced with you guys. No,
cool. And I want to reiterate, Hilda, thank you to everyone who's been online. Hopefully we've shared some value. It is quite difficult to share, as I said right up front, to share so much information. But hopefully we've touched a few chords for you. And if I can, it's something that I just came away with subconsciously, is that really there's just so much more that I can do and create and have on this planet. But most importantly, the impact that we can have. And I would just challenge all of you out there to really just think about what you want and really just know that whatever possibility you want. And hopefully tonight we've even shared with you some tangible ways that we personally have done it. And I don't know, Hilda, what your thoughts are, but I absolutely love our new mantra, which is live life unlimited. And I challenge you all to really go out there and to live life unlimited. Stop letting people tell you what's not possible. Stop letting your friends tell you can't invest overseas, and you can't have this and you can't have that, or your parents or whoever else. The bottom line is just live life unlimited, and to be honest, it's awesome. So thank you very much, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.